I will never forget the time I leaped through the Singularity S-556/mirror pool and found myself face to face with the voidwalker known as Shadowland Boogie. Traveling through singularities was always perilous due to their gravitational forces and the menacing radiation they emitted. Some were surrounded by a plethora of space debris, a haunting graveyard of lost travelers and their ill-fated spacecraft forever floating. It sent shivers down my spine whenever I ventured near this region known as the spaceship graveyard. However, something went horribly wrong this time. Midway through the journey, the ship began to malfunction. Lights flickered, panels disconnected, and the flight AI went berserk. I tried to communicate with other travelers, but all I heard was horrifying static. It was a laborious, breath-like static that chilled me to the core. Suddenly, I realized I was alone, vulnerable within the tunnel. That's when I saw it, a figure on the bridge. At first, I thought it was a peculiar shadow, but I soon realized my mistake. I couldn't tell if it had infiltrated the spaceship or had been there all along, choosing to reveal itself. It was the Shadowland Boogie, an entity lurking in the gap between dimensions, a nightmare made flesh. Words failed to describe it adequately. A mass of twisting shadows with neon glimmers, a humanoid form defying all logic. Its gaze, eyes that weren't eyes, met mine, and an unfathomable terror paralyzed me. The boogie started to approach, its claw-like appendages moving in a way that defied their very nature. Instinctively, I reached for the laser pistol stored in the cockpit. I fired multiple shots, but they seemed to have no effect. The boogie appeared to laugh, a sound that wasn't a sound, and continued its relentless advance. I ran through the ship, my mind racing at full speed. The entity seemed to know my every move as if it could see through walls. I hid in the cargo hold, desperately hoping it wouldn't find me. But the boogie reappeared, slipping through the door's narrow gap as if it were paper thin. I had run out of options. My only hope lay in activating the emergency ejection system. I knew it was risky, that I could perish in the tunnel's vacuum. But it was better than falling into the clutches of the boogie. Securing myself with a harness to an anchor point, I pressed the button. It felt as though the spacecraft was tearing itself apart. The boogie and I were hurtled into space, ripped from the metallic bowels of the ship. The boogie shrieked with a sound that wasn't a sound, attempting to cling onto the vessel, but its feeble claws served it no purpose. With titanic effort, I pulled on the harness and began inching towards the cargo bay, resigned to the idea of being torn apart by the void. After what felt like an eternity, I made it back inside. Heart pounding in my ears, I peered out the window and saw the boogie fade into the darkness of the tunnel. I didn't know if I would ever see it again, or if there were more like it. All I knew was that I had survived the most terrifying encounter of my life. And then I saw the light at the end of the tunnel. The system sprang back to life, and Eva informed me that the Singularity had concluded, that I had arrived on the other side. Relief washed over me as I took a deep breath. That was the day I encountered the Shadowland Boogie, and I hope it never returns to greet me.